Hi, everybody. Welcome to Beyond the Gates, Lake County Sentinel Entertainment Extra, a recap of the best show on soap opera on television, Beyond the Gates. This is week number 6, and this was a great week. This was an explosive week. A lot happened this week. Um, One of the things that I loved was seeing Anita and Vernon Dupree wield their power and defend their daughter, Danny. Danny made some bad decisions early on in the show. But this week, when the head of the board of the charity informed Danny that she was no longer on the board, completely blindsided her after she spent hours and hours, doing the fashion show fundraiser. Anita was not having any of that, and they immediately it was a great scene. It's one of my favorite scenes since the show premiered. Um, you know, I think that she took the woman down. Like, she just said, "You are nothing. You are not getting any of our money for your charity. So your charity might as well just go away because our charity is going to take over what you were doing." And it was great. I was a great scene. Like, Tamara Toomey played that scene unbelievably. It really, it was really great. And Vernon, he just sat there, and the woman thought that she was going to get sympathy from Vernon, and he's like, "No, I'm just going to sit here and watch. I'm gonna watch my wife Anita eat you alive." And basically, that's what she did. It was so good. I think that was one of the highlights of the week. At the end of last week, Leslie poisoned Nicole's assistant, and I thought she was going to kill her. Honestly, I thought she was going to kill her. But was that Monday? I think that was Monday. I did. I thought she was killing her, and she probably did intend to kill her. I wouldn't be surprised. But I guess it gave her a heart attack, and now she has an infection, which is, I don't know how that can happen from potassium. Although I know potassium can give you issues. Because I can't eat a lot of potassium on one of the medicines I'm on. But I think that, Leslie probably would have been happier if she just killed her, because then Ava would have had the job, permanently. But we got, I feel, as for Ava and Leslie, she's about had enough. I think she knows her mom's over the edge, but Leslie keeps giving her a good guilt trip, so that doesn't really, I don't think it gets to her a little bit, but I think Ava's also smart enough to know that Leslie's nuts. I mean, she knows she's nuts. But what can she do about it? My thing is watching at the end, watching today unfold. I feel like what's going to happen here is Leslie is going to, who knows when, I feel like Leslie is going to end up getting murdered. And there'll be some suspects. There'll be a lot of suspects. And I think Ted will probably be the main suspect. And that's when it'll come out that Ted and Leslie had an affair years ago. But I really think that's what's probably going to happen. Is Leslie will end up getting murdered, or we think she's murdered. I'm going to predict it right now. We're going to think she gets murdered. It's going to be a bunch of suspects. Ted for sure. Nicole. If they find out before, then Nicole will be a suspect. I could see Kat. I could see Ava being a suspect. Andre too. Now that he knows. But I think Leslie will be murdered, and let's. This is what's going to happen. Leslie will get murdered. She'll be found dead. Ted will go on trial, and what's going to end up? We're going to end up finding out in the end. She killed herself, and she made it look like Ted did it. Or maybe we'll see that in the beginning. Maybe they'll show her do it, but it'll look like Ted did it. Something's going to happen here like this. I can't see. Leslie's too crazy to be on here long term. But she could also, they could also send her to a mental institution. But I more think that she might get murdered. I really think that she's going to end up dead. So as for Ted, he confessed to Andre today that he did have an affair early on in his marriage when Martin was little and before Kat was born. And, but he's been faithful to Nicole since. I think that, it's probably, but, they're bringing up these miscarriages. So it's making me think that, who knows, maybe one of them wasn't a miscarriage. Maybe one of the babies lived and it's going to come back at some time. That's always a possibility in a soap opera. But now at least Ted has Andre to talk to, with in regards to his mistake with Leslie years ago. The funny thing is, I feel like if she does get murdered, Andre will be a suspect too, because he'll know, and who knows, he was sticking up for his uncle. But I got one thing that bothers me is I've noticed this week. Shanae's the head nurse at the hospital. She's annoying. She's really a gossiper, and I don't think anyone who comes in contact with her should trust her, especially Ashley. She wants to cause trouble for Ashley. There is no doubt about it. You can see it. Of course, she seems like she wants to cause trouble for everybody. But I'm not a fan of Shanae's. Danny had a rough week. Danny's had a few rough weeks since the show came on. My goodness. Bill had Danny removed from the board. We talked about that earlier, and Anita basically squashed that, so it didn't even matter because now Danny will run the new board. It was. I mean, the fact that Bill showed up the fact Bill showed up there, it was kind of ridiculous. They're just he showed up there with Haley. That's kind of ridiculous. Although I guess if he knew what time they were meeting, then it could happen. But I think, like I said, it was a rough week for Danny. She kept getting punched in the gut. She keeps getting punched in the gut. That happens to her. And then, now she wants to help Samantha with her modeling career, be her manager. And she finds out Samantha don't want her to be her manager. She wants Chelsea to be her manager, which I can understand. She's younger, but it just doesn't get easier for Danny. I mean, she just keeps one thing after another keeps happening to her, and but I thought it was a pretty exciting week. It was a good week for the show, and I think that it's just going to keep getting better, and it is. I'm not disappointed by it. By the show at all. There's always something going on. They keep it interesting. The writing is spectacular. The writing is spectacular, and the acting is spectacular too. This is a really good show. It's one of those shows that you want to watch, and I get home every day. I make sure I'm home every day. I had something to do the other day and could not watch it at 2:00 Eastern. And I watched it later in the night, and it just goes so fast too. That's the thing; it doesn't seem like an hour watching this show. That's what I like about it. It's so fast moving. I mean, if you watch the two before it, Bold and the Beautiful and Young and the Restless, geez, they move at a snail's pace. I used to think Dark Shadows was slow. No, Dark Shadows is fast compared to Bold and the Beautiful and Young and the Restless. But Beyond the Gates moves fast. Beyond the Gates is very similar. There's a bunch of people working on Beyond the Gates that worked on Santa Barbara. And it's very similar. It moves fast. You don't get bored with it. There's some humor in it. And I just think that it's worth people's time if they haven't watched it. I'll be here at the end of the week to recap it because, as I said, I love it, and I really like this soap opera a lot. So I think, as I said, also, I think it's the best soap opera on television. So until next week, just continue watching the show, and it would be great to get some questions. You could my Twitter handle. You could @ me on there, TBBucksTim. You could email me at T Shirer, SHIRER, at LakeCountySentinel.com. You could ask me a question there. Just put in the title Beyond the Gates, and maybe I'll talk about it on the next week's show. It would be fun to hear from fellow viewers. That would really be fun. So until next week, you have a good weekend, and we'll see you next Friday.